everyone, welcome to Tutorials by Decade. My name is Decade, and in today's video we are going to animate our little guy here. Before we get into that, as usual, if you like this video, at the end make sure you give it a big old thumbs up. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe, as I have videos like this coming out all the time and I don't want you to miss anything. With that out of the way, let's get to it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure that our player has an animator. If you haven't added this last time, what we're going to do, hold on my computer, there we go. We're going to go all the way down to the bottom here and go to where it says Add Component and just look for Animator. Right. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to Animations. We are going to right click, we are going to create, and we're going to put a folder in here, and we're just going to call this Player. And then inside Player, we are going to right click, we're going to go to Create, we are going to go to Animation, and Animator Controller, and we're going to name this Player. And right off the bat, we are just going to drag that into the animator on the player, and we are set there. So, if you don't already have it up here, oh, we don't want to double click on that. Go away. No. There we go. If you don't already have it up here, if you go up to Window and then go to Animation and then click on Animation, it'll pull up an animation window. And you can dock that wherever. For now, I'm going to put this one right here, but I am going to take my project and put that right there. All right. So now we get to begin animating. So with your player selected in the hierarchy, down here where it says to begin animating player, we're just going to hit create. And we want to make sure that this goes into our player animations. And then the first one, we're going to name it lowercase p underscore idle underscore and then down. And then we're going to hit save. Now what we're going to do is we are going to go to our sprites, our characters, our player, and we're going to pick whatever player sheet that we're using. For me, it's player 4, but you may have chose 1, 2, or 3. But we're going to click on player 4, and we're going to hit this little triangle to expand it to get all of our animations. And idle down is literally just going to be that. You're going to drag that over to here and drop it, and that is all you need to do. Then this little drop down we're going to hit, and then we're going to go to create new clip, and we're going to do the exact same thing, but instead we're going to do right. I do believe that's the next one. Yes, it is. So then we're just going to drop the one that's facing right down there. We're going to repeat this for up, and then we are going to repeat it again for down, or I'm sorry, left. There we go. And then now we're going to do the exact same thing, but for the actual walking animation. So we're going to do P walk down. And just so you know, the reason why I'm doing, the P first with the underscore, so that way you know it's player. Unfortunately, even though we're putting everything in folders here for the project, whenever you go to pull up animations in the animator, which you will see here shortly, it gets kind of hectic because it's not in any type of order. But what we want to do for walk is we want to grab the first one, which it looks like our idle animation. Then the next one in line is this guy. We're going to drop it at 10. Then we're going to do the idle animation again, drop that at 20. The other part of the walk, we'll drop that at 30. And then we're going to take that last one there and drop that at 40 as well. Now, this looks good. I've already tested this, but you can play around with this and drop it at different speeds. For instance, if we drop it Well, let me show you what it looks like right now. So that's our walking animation. Again, that's a very good pace. But if we want to drop it at 5, 10, 15, and then 20, well, now you're going to see it's a lot faster and it's more of a run. And just so you know, these numbers up here, they are not a timestamp or anything like that. These are more frames per second. So yeah, we want to set this to that. And now again, we're going to do the exact same thing, but in each of the cardinal directions, if my computer will allow me. There we go. P, walk, and then right. And then we're going to find our right animations and then just, again, drop those in every 10. And repeating the last one here to 40. And then we hit play to verify that. There we go. And now we're going to do the same thing for up. So P, walk, up. And then again, just dropping these every 10. And then just repeating that last one twice. The reason why we're repeating that last one, an animation plays to the last frame. So if we don't add this little buffer in between, then that last little bit is going to look really funny. So we want to make sure that animation plays all the way through. And then lastly, we will do P, walk, left. And then we will drop this in there. And then we'll hit play, and there we go. So that is how we do these animations. Now we need to get the animator, which for whatever reason is not showing up on mine. So again, Windows, Animation, Animator, and there we go. So you can use your mouse wheel to zoom in and out. You see all of the animations we just created are right here, but we don't want that. So we're just going to click and drag, highlight them all, and then hit delete on your keyboard. Then we are going to go underneath entry. We are going to right click, create state from new blend tree, and then we're going to move that there. And we are going to rename the blend tree idle tree. Now before we go any further, we do need to have some parameters. So if it's not already selected, click on parameters. You may see blend here already. We're going to just delete blend, and it won't let us do it because we already created that. So what we'll do instead is we will create a float, and we name that one moveX. We will drop down and create another float and name this moveY. And then lastly, we're going to create a bool and name it isMoving. Now, if you followed along with my, we didn't want to do that. There we go. If you followed along with my older videos on all of this, you will understand that naming is very important, especially here. And I will show you why in just a minute. So now that we have these, ignore blend for right now. We're going to delete that whenever we get a chance. We're going to double click on our idle tree. Then we're going to click on our idle tree, and up here where it says blend type, we want to change that to 2D simple directional. And then where it says parameters, we're actually going to change that to moveX and moveY. Now we should be able to highlight blend and delete that. There we go. So down here in the motion, we are actually going to add a motion field, and we're going to do this 4 times. And then here we are going to do 0, -1. That should be our down. We are going to do 1 and 0. That should be right. Now we're going to do 0, +1. That should be up. And then we're going to do -1, 0. That should be left. So now we got to fill in the animations. And this is what I was talking about earlier. There's no organization. So if you click on this little radio button here, you'll see that all of our animations are right here. Doesn't look bad right now because this is the only animations we've done, but anything you animate will just show up like this. Like there's no organization whatsoever, but you can search. So if imagine 100 of these, 1,000 of these. Well, if I want down, I can hit P, idle. Now all of my idles are here. And then down. And now it's the only one I have left. This one we said was right. So we're going to do idle right. This should be up, so we'll do idle up. And this should be left, we will do idle left. But you can see how that can get pretty crazy with all of those animations in there. And there's only 8 of them right now. Imagine when we get, NPCs and enemies and anything else that's animated like chests, coins, items themselves. So yeah, you want to make sure you're naming these things in such a way that you know what is what and it's easy to find using a search. And you also want to make sure that you're not using like just plain ordinary like walk. Because if you do that, well, if you have multiple characters that walk and you type in walk, they're all going to pop up. And if you have, say, 10 of them and all 10 of them just say walk, you're going to have to pick and choose which one's which and hope that you're right. So make sure that you are naming things in a way that is easy for you to understand. But also, if you're creating this with other people, that they understand it as well. But now that that's done, we're going to go back to our base layer. And underneath idle tree, we're going to right click, create state from new blend tree. And we're going to name this one the walk tree. We're going to right click on idle and we're going to hit make transition. And then we're going to click on walk tree. And then we're going to right click on walk tree, make transition, and then click on idle tree. So what this is going to do is, as soon as the animation starts, we're instantly going to go to idle. But now we'll be able to move back and forth between idle and walk. So the transition we made from idle to walk, we want to click on that. And here where it says has exit time, we're going to uncheck that. We're going to drop down for settings and we're going to uncheck fixed duration. Should be able to leave everything else the way it is. But down here where it says conditions, we want to click on the little plus. We want to change the condition to isMoving and true. Then the transition from walk tree to idle tree, we're going to do essentially the same thing. Get rid of the exit time, get rid of the fixed duration. Add a condition down here, isMoving, but we want that to be false. Once we have that set up, we can double click on walk tree, click on blend tree, change that to a 2D simple directional, moveX, moveY, and add our 4 fields. Now, if you've watched my older videos, I used to add 8 fields, but the way we're going to do the code, we're not going to have to do that. You still can if you want to. That way you get your directionals. But for now, we are not going to do that. So again, just like idle, walk is going to be the same thing. So 0, -1. Sorry about that motorcycle going by. If you hear that, I have my windows open. It is too nice out there not to. But anyway, so 0 and -1 for down, 1, 0 for right, 0, 1 for up, and then -1, 0 for left. And we're going to do the exact same thing as before, only we are going to use the walk animation. So walk down, walk right, walk up, and walk left. So now that we've done that, we are set up in Unity anyway to get our character moving around. So now what we have to do is we have to go to our scripts, our player, and our player controller script. I already had mine up and running, so we're good to go there. Now what we want to do is script everything so that way it animates when we move and not just sliding around the screen. So one of the things that I like to do is put require component type of, and then animator up here. This is just, again, another safety check to make sure that we're not putting this somewhere it shouldn't be and that it's getting everything that it needs. So the next thing we're going to do is underneath where it says private float move speed, we are going to add another header, and in that header we're going to put animation. We are going to serialize the field, which it automatically popped up for me. If that ever does that, you just hit tab and it'll fill out for you. Otherwise, you can type it all out. And then we're going to do a private bool snap to cardinal for anim. And we're going to set that to true. So there may be times where you don't want your character to snap to cardinal. That's the only time you'll ever be changing this to false. But we want to default this to true, and it will play a role here in a little bit. Next, underneath the private rigid body 2D, we want to add a private animator anim. Again, that's just shorthand for animator. You can name this whatever you want to name it. This is just, I guess, the standard, if you want to call it that. But then underneath private vector 2 move input, we are going to put a private vector 2 last look dir for direction. In awake, we're going to change a couple things here, or actually add a couple things, not change anything. We're going to put anim equals get component animator. And again, if this automatically fills out for you, you just hit tab. If not, you type out this whole thing. And then lastly, we want to do rb dot interpolation, and then we want that to equal rigid body interpolation 2D dot interpolate. And this is for animating. It makes things a little bit smoother. So just pop that in there and then you should be good. On disable, the only thing we're going to add down here is push idle anim. And for those of you that may not have followed along with the last video, on disabled is just a safety in case for whatever reason this particular script gets disabled. Then it'll make sure that the character stops moving. That it'll also go into the animation, the idle animation, as opposed to stuck in a walking animation. So probably not necessary, but it's good to have a nice little safety net just in case. Our fixed update is not going to change, but we are going to create a private void update. And in here, we're just going to put in animate. Animate character. And then underneath that, we're actually going to create that. So private void animate character. And that should get rid of that error up there. And what we're going to do, and again, you could technically do everything I'm about to do in update, but a good standard is to create a new function and then put that function in update, because things can get pretty crazy. And as you're going to see, there's not a lot of stuff, but a good amount of stuff that we're going to be putting in animate character, and we don't necessarily want all of that stuff in update because we don't know what we're going to be adding to update yet. And yeah, for debugging purposes, it just makes things a little bit easier if we do it this way. So what we're going to do here is we are going to do a bool isMoving, and then that's going to equal move input dot square magnitude greater than 0.0001 f. So what this is going to do is anytime that the player moves or tries to move the character, your magnitude is going to go up. So we put 0.0001F in here to account for stick drift if the player is using a controller. We can always change this number to a higher number if you want for safety reasons, but for now we're going to leave it as is. And then here we're going to do another temporary, why did my mind just go blank? Temporary variable, there we go. We're going to name this vector2 anim dir direction, so animator direction, and we're going to equal that to the move input. We don't need any of the extra stuff that popped up there, we just need move input. So now what we're going to do is we're going to check to see if we're moving. So if isMoving, we are going to do a bunch of stuff. First, we're going to check to see if snap to cardinal direction is true. Again, there's probably not going to be too many situations, if any, where that's going to be false, but again, the more safety checks you have, the better. And if that is true, then we are going to do if mathf.abs anim direction.x is greater than or equal to mathf.abs.anim direction y. So what we're checking here, and this is, so ABS, if you hover over it, it'll tell you right there, returns absolute value of f. So mathf is a collection of math functions. But so the absolute value is going to be 1 or -1. And in this case, we're looking for the anim direction x, which is x is your left and right. And we're also checking that to see if that is greater than or equal to y, which is up and down. If this is greater than y, we are going to do anim direction equals new vector2 mathf.sine, and again, sine is return the sine of f. Anim.x and then 0f. So essentially what we're doing is we're going to be telling the animator here in a little bit, oh, not anim direction, there we go. We're going to be telling the animator, hey, x should be whatever this is, and y should be 0. And if that's not the case, if x is not greater than or equal to y, then that means we want to do else. And essentially the exact same thing. So anim direction equals new vector2 0f, then mathf dot sine anim direction dot y. And you're going to see what that's going to do here in just a minute. But we're also going to do an else in here. And then we're going to do anim direction equals anim direction dot normalized. Get the whole thing in there. There we go. Underneath that, we are going to do last look direction equals anim direction. So what this is going to do is this is going to remember what direction we're going. And then whenever we idle, it'll keep our character facing that direction. So now that that's all done, we are going to come down here and close all that off with our bracket. And then we're going to do an else. And then we're just going to do anim direction equals last look direction. Okay. So that's going to check to see if, oh, sorry, I put that in the wrong place, didn't I? No, I put it in the right place. All right, good. So what this is going to do, if we are moving, it's going to do all of that. If we are not moving, then it's going to idle in the last direction we were facing. So now that that's done, the last thing we need to do is push everything to the animator. So we're going to do anim.setBowl is moving, and this is where the naming is very important. This will not give you any errors in between the quotations, no matter what you type. It will not give you any errors because it doesn't know what you typed in Unity. So if you capitalize the I for is, and then didn't capitalize the I here, it will not work. So naming and capitalization and all that stuff is extremely important, especially here. So we're going to change the bowl to whatever is the bowl is moving to whatever is moving is up here. Anim.setFloat moveX to anim direction dot x. So we are changing the moveX to anim direction x, which again we set here. And we're going to do the exact same thing, but instead we're doing moveY and anim direction dot y. Now that that is all said and done, we just need to do one last thing, another little safety check here. A private void push idle anim. And then in here, we're going to do anim.setBowl is moving, not is moving to false. Anim.setFloat moveX to last look direction dot x, which it already has that in there for me. And then anim.setFloat moveY last look direction y. If you've done everything right, make sure you hit Control S or Command S to save everything. We will shoot over to Unity here and let it all compile. And there shouldn't be anything else we need to do in Unity as long as you already have the player controller script added to your player. If that's the case, when we hit play, everything should work. And there we go, moving left, moving right, moving up, and moving down. And as you can see, the player or the character animates in each of those directions, and whenever you stop moving, the character faces those directions. And then we're also normalized on our diagonals, so we're not going too fast, and everything looks great. So there you have it. That is how we animate our character. In the next coming episodes, we are going to start building a world around the character. So please make sure you subscribe so you don't miss those videos. If you like this video, make sure you give it the big old thumbs up. I am going to end this here. So as always, thank you. Have a good one, and I will see you in the next one.